This story is about what happens when a smart student and her married teacher start getting too close. What begins as an innocent friendship slowly becomes something dangerous and wrong. When things go too far and it's time to stop, the student becomes obsessed and refuses to let go. This is the story of Miller's girl. Cairo, S lonely life. The story starts in the peaceful countryside of Tennessee, where a teenage girl named Cairo lives by herself in her parents' big, empty house. Her parents are both important lawyers who travel a lot for work, leaving her alone most of the time. Every morning, Cairo puts on her tall boots and short skirt and walks confidently through the forest to get to school. She doesn't seem bothered by being alone so much. Meeting Mr. Miller. At school, Cairo meets her new literature teacher, Mr. Jonathan Miller. He's a middle-aged man who once dreamed of becoming a famous writer, but now just teaches at the school. He feels disappointed that his writing dreams never came true. This is Cairo's first day in his class, and she sees him as more than just a teacher. She respects him deeply and even admires him a little. When Cairo arrives early to class, Mr. Miller is impressed by how smart and punctual she is. During their conversation, Cairo tells him she's already read all 12 books on the semester's reading list. They both love literature and storytelling, so they have an exciting discussion about books and ideas. Their talk is interrupted when Cairo's classmate Winnie arrives. Winnie is a troublemaker who has to repeat the class, and she drags Cairo away to the cafeteria. A personal connection. After the girls leave, Mr. Miller looks through the books on Cairo's desk. His friend Boris comes into the classroom and sees one of the books, which has adult content. Boris reads part of it out loud to embarrass Miller, but then Boris notices something. That afternoon, Miller and Boris chat in the classroom, and Miller invites Boris to have dinner with him and his wife that evening. After Boris leaves, Miller is alone and starts dancing to music on the radio. Cairo walks in and catches him dancing, which embarrasses him. He laughs it off, and they share a fun moment together. They talk about Cairo's friendship with Winnie and her life at home. Miller praises her writing, saying he's impressed by how precise and insightful it is. He's attracted to her talent and challenges her to write a short story in the style of her favorite author. If she succeeds, he promises she'll get an A for the semester. Cairo eagerly accepts and surprises him by quoting a line from one of his own published books. Miller is impressed and tells her it was from his first published book, which means a lot to him. Because he's so impressed by her passion for literature, he invites her to join him at a weekend literary event to discuss her story further. The weekend event. On the day of the event, Cairo arrives at the venue alone. Miller playfully sneaks up behind her, and they sit together to watch a poet named Eliot perform. While Miller listens to the poetry, Cairo occasionally looks at him, and her feelings become more complicated. Afterward, they discuss the performance and share their thoughts about the event. Cairo offers him a cigarette, which he accepts, and they continue chatting and growing more comfortable with each other. Crossing lines. The next school day, Cairo appears more confident and transformed. She brings coffee for both Miller and Boris, and shares another cigarette with Miller after Boris leaves. Later, she tells Winnie that Miller didn't comment on her new look, but she could tell he noticed. Near the end of the school day, Miller gets a text from his wife saying she's planned a surprise weekend trip for them, the next day, Cairo arrives at class wearing a more provocative outfit, but she quickly notices that Miller's attitude toward her has turned cold. The warmth and attention he once showed her are gone. Disturbed by this change, she asks what's wrong. Miller admits that although her story is well written, it crosses boundaries that are inappropriate for school. While he recognizes her talent, he's concerned about the message it might send to others. He tells her he's rejecting the story for academic evaluation. Cairo can't believe it, and tries to defend her work, insisting it isn't as personal as he thinks. But Miller refuses to listen, dismisses the story entirely, and tells her he regrets trusting her. Hurt and angry by his sudden change of attitude, Cairo lashes out, calling his own writing mediocre and uninspired. She accuses him of being jealous of her talent. As their argument escalates, Miller emphasizes the need to re-establish proper boundaries between them. Completely hurt by this, Cairo storms out and drops her story in the administrative mailbox. Everything falls apart. That night, Miller tells his wife Beatrice about Cairo's story. He explains that the story focuses on a student-teacher relationship, which leaves him with no choice but to reject it. Meanwhile, Cairo drowns her frustration in alcohol with Winnie. As the night goes on, they become increasingly reckless. They take revealing photos together, and Cairo pushes Winnie to send them to Boris to try to seduce him. That night, Boris receives the message from Winnie while he's at Miller's house. He immediately makes an excuse and leaves. Soon after, Miller gets a call from the school principal asking him to come see her first thing the next morning. When Miller goes to the principal's office, she accuses him of having an inappropriate relationship with a student. The principal questions him in her. Although Miller tries to convince her otherwise and points out that Beatrice's busy schedule hasn't allowed them to be close, his pleas fall on deaf ears. In the end, Beatrice announces her intention to file for divorce and storms out of the room. Cairo, quote, victory. Meanwhile, Winnie confronts Cairo and begs her to consider the damage she's causing. But Cairo, who seems unconcerned about the situation, tells her that she views this as her ultimate victory. When Winnie threatens to reveal the truth, Cairo warns that if she does, she'll also expose Winnie's dealings with Boris, meaning 2 teachers will be suspended instead of 1. As Winnie is left to think about how the entire plan she had started is working against her, Cairo begins writing her college essay. She transforms the entire ordeal into a story of revenge, framing it as a response to Miller's betrayal of trust and refusal to respect her voice as a writer. Cairo vividly describes the scandal and emotional damage, presenting herself as the mastermind behind Miller's downfall. The final confrontation. At the end of the movie, we see Cairo walking toward the Board of Education building where Miller is sitting in despair. Their eyes meet for a moment, and although a tear runs down her face, it's clear that she's satisfied with the chaos she has created. The message. This story shows how a seemingly innocent connection between a student and teacher can become dangerous when boundaries are crossed. It demonstrates how manipulation and obsession can destroy lives, careers, and families. Cairo's transformation from an admiring student to a vengeful manipulator shows how power can corrupt and how far someone might go when they feel rejected or betrayed. The movie serves as a warning about the importance of maintaining proper boundaries in relationships, especially those involving power imbalances, and shows the devastating consequences when those boundaries are crossed.